Today's video will be something different, something that football fans will probably understand. I think I'm talking about coincidences here because I don't believe in curses, but nevertheless, I'm giving you the curse of Aaron Ramsey. Today I'll name the top 10 victims, but first a short explanation. Basically, whenever this footballer scores a goal, a day or a week later a celebrity dies. Okay, let's start. Number 10, Nancy Reagan. The first victim here is the First Lady of California and the First Lady of the United States. She died on this date, while Ramsey scored on this one. Ronald's widow died from heart failure at the age of 94, so I'd say natural causes. Her funeral was attended by many other First Ladies, which really makes me doubt that title. So number 9 is Osama bin Laden. Ramsey scored on this date, while OBL was shot in this one. Also, there is something hilariously ironic about this death. I mean, not that funny because it's still a death, but still. You see, OBL himself was a football fan, explicitly an Arsenal fan, which just so happens to be the club that Ramsey played for at the time and still plays for, in fact. Bin Laden was shot to death, so we could say Ramsey shot him. With a football. Or maybe with a machine gun. His nickname isn't Welsh Rambo for nothing. Bin Laden really must have felt betrayed. Bin Laden was seen at Highbury during the 90s, and that's how we know he's an Arsenal fan, or was. Highbury was Arsenal Stadium at the time, and also in the Premier League. I support Arsenal. Number 8, Robin Williams. I know this guy from playing Theodore Roosevelt at the Night at the Museum movies. However, Ramsey scored on this date while Rob died on this one. This death is kinda darker because Rob died via suicide. His body was found in his home hanging. He apparently did this from being on some prescription drugs, which he needed to lower his increase in paranoia. Number 7, Steve Jobs. Jobs died from pancreatic cancer. He was actually diagnosed with neuroendocrine tumor way back in 2003. He died on this date while Ramsey scored on this one. He died from respiratory arrest 8 years after he was diagnosed. And why was it Steve Jobs of all people? Probably because Ramsey ate an apple after the game he scored in. I mean, not that I know, but haha, I'm funny. Number 6, Whitney Houston. Whitney had a bit of a different death from the others on this list. She was found drowned to death in her bathtub in Beverly Hills on the same day that Ramsey scored a goal. At the same time, her death happened because of cocaine use and heart disease. And why did it happen that her death was so much different and so multi-reasoned? I would have guessed that is because the type of a goal Ramsey scored that day was a real rocket, a screamer. A less seen goal in football. It was really world class. Welsh Rambo. Number 5, David Bowie. Bowie died from cancer, being diagnosed a year and a half earlier. He died just 2 days after his 69th birthday. That had to be the worst birthday in his life. That means he died on this date while Ramsey scored a day before. Guys, I'm sure Ramsey doesn't intend for all this to happen, so let's not put him under too much pressure. Another cheap one. Number 4, Alan Rickman. Rickman died a day after Ramsey scored. This guy was an actor and he usually played some villains or simply old people in some movies. I personally know him from Robin Hood, Harry Potter, and Die Hard. But I can tell you, he starred in a lot more than just that. Number 3, Mean Gene Okerlund. Okay, so only wrestling fans, myself included, could know this guy. He was mostly an interviewer and announcer, but also a wrestler in his earlier days. I included him on this list because he was the latest victim, as he died on this date while Ramsey scored a day earlier. At the age of 76, he died from natural causes, 100% in a hospital, which is the only death like that in this whole list. Number 2, Paul Walker. This is probably the most popular one on the list. We all know this dude from Fast and Furious. His death came the same day as Ramsey scored. His death was also very ironic because he died from driving too fast. But at least he died the way he wanted to by his own words. Number 1, 2018. Okay, let me explain this one. This one is actually my own theory. You see, in January 2018, Ramsey scored 3 goals in one match, aka a hat-trick. While there were still goals and deaths that were cursed regular, like Mac Miller and Burt Reynolds, who died on the same day. Okay, not quite on the same day, but on the same goal. So, Mac Miller died a day later, while Burt Reynolds died the same day. And then there's Avicii, who died 2 weeks after one of the Ramsey goals, which is really unusually slow for this curse. However, I made a list of a few people that I thought were the most important. Some of them were important for me. But yeah, there were actually a lot more deaths than usual from celebrities this year. And here are 9 or 8 most popular, in my opinion. Stephen Hawking, Harry Anderson, Barbara Bush, Bruno Sammartino, XXXTentacion, Scott Wilson, George W. Bush, Stan Lee, and Steven Hillenburg, which wasn't on that list for some reason, although I animated it. And that's it, nothing else to say. Hopefully you enjoyed that video, and hopefully you'll subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Everything is right here in the end card. And well, that's it. See you in the next video.